Hi, my name's Kelly Rooney and this is Namaste Thunder Bay. Thanks for joining us. We are going to do a 25-minute yoga practice, and today we're really going to focus on what people are calling tech neck. It's a really common problem nowadays that we often are looking down at that cell phone screen and we are hunched over at our computer desks, and you can see just in those two demonstrations how our neck is often bent forward and our shoulders are often bent and curled forward as well. So today we're going to work on bringing the posture back into the shoulders and the neck. So let's start off by taking a reminder that we want to listen to our body. And if anything I'm guiding you to do doesn't feel good, or if you have an injury or a condition, avoid any movements that don't feel right in your body. I'll try to offer modifications for different poses, but if it doesn't work for you, don't do it, and always listen to yourself. So let's center into our body. A big part of yoga is bringing together that mind-body-soul connection. So it's not just exercise, we want to also be present in this moment. So you can come into a seated position or you can come up onto your knees, whatever feels good to you. Take a moment and close your eyes and observe your breathing. And as you observe your breathing, notice if your breath is short and choppy or long and smooth. Notice if you feel it in your chest, or is it working its way down into your belly? Don't try to change your breath, just start off by observing it. Then let's direct the breath by inhaling and expand your belly, then your chest. Exhale from the chest, and then contract the belly, pressing all the air out. Inhale, expanding the belly, then the chest. Exhale from the chest, and then the belly. Continue that breathing rhythm. Expanding the belly, then the chest, contracting the chest, and then the belly. You want to develop a nice smooth rhythm so that it feels like a wave on the ocean. You can also add in a slight pause at the top of the inhale. You can continue this breathing practice throughout your yoga time, or you can release the practice and notice any effects on your body. And then let's start by loosening up the neck. Take your left ear over to your left shoulder. Place your left hand over on your right shoulder, or up and over your head, using the weight of your arm to release any tension in the neck. Lower your hand down, bring your neck up to neutral, and then let the right ear go to the right shoulder. Right hand goes to the opposite shoulder, or up and over the head, and let it rest there. We're not pulling the neck down, we're just using the weight of the arm to release the tension. Lower the hand down and come up to a neutral neck. Allow yourself semicircles going from side to side, loosening the neck up. And come up to neutral. Place your fingertips behind your neck just to give it a little bit of extra support before you allow your head to tip back. Come up to neutral, release your fingertips, let your arms down at your sides. Now inhale and bring the left hand up overhead so that your bicep is close to your ear. Allow the elbow to bend so that your left hand is coming in behind your right shoulder. Now you can take your fingertips over and press on your left elbow, letting the arm drop behind your back, making sure to keep a nice tall neck, nothing scrunched over. If it's available to you, I'll turn around so that you can see. You can bring your fingertips up toward the other hand. If they connect, you can bring them together. If they don't, you can just work toward that. If you had a strap, you could use that as well. Or, as I mentioned, you can just use your fingertips on the elbow and press it down the back, keeping a nice wide open neck, not allowing the shoulders to scrunch up. And release the arm down the side. We'll also do the same for the right arm up in the air, bicep by the ear, bend the elbow, then use your left hand and press on the elbow just to release it slightly down the back. Release and let both arms come down to your sides. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead and look up to your hands. Interlace your fingers together and press the palms up toward the ceiling, again making sure that the shoulder blades are relaxed down the back. Take your gaze up toward your hands. Exhale, release the hands, let them float down. Take them in behind your back and clasp your hands together. Inhale and bring the shoulder blades together. Inhale to lengthen your spine. Exhale, leaning forward. As you lean forward, if it's available to you, you can allow your arms to come up. If that's not available, you can keep them down. The stretch through that shoulder blades will help to loosen up your shoulders and neck. Inhale, coming back up, and release the fingertips and roll your shoulder blades out. Working in both directions. From here, we're going to move on to our hands and our knees. We want to have our hands underneath our shoulders, our knees underneath our hips, starting with a neutral back. We're going to explore the cat-cow breath. So cat, you'll inhale and arch the back and look down to the belly button. Exhale, scoop the back out, bring the chest forward and the head up for cow. Inhale up to cat. Exhale out to cow. Inhaling up to cat, follow the rhythm of your own breath. And exhale to cow. Come to a neutral back. We're going to change the direction of our breath. And you may find that when we press up into cat, that you'll feel a deeper stretch between your shoulder blades. So this time we're going to inhale as we bring the belly down, chest forward and head up. And as you exhale, press up into cat. Really feel that stretch between the shoulder blades. And inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Again, follow the rhythm of your own breath. Inhale to cow. And exhale to cat. From here, we're going to curl our toes under. We're going to press our hips up and back for downward dog. pressing our hands firmly into the mat. If it's your first big stretch of the day, you may want to let one heel lower down at a time, stretching out the hamstrings, feeling the tailbone lifting up toward the ceiling, heart sinking down toward the mat, feeling your belly button pulled in toward your spine, and your your hands pressed into the mat, especially through the index knuckle. Walk the feet toward the hands. And allow yourself to come up slowly, one vertebrae at a time, through a rounded back. And your head is the last to come up. I'll guide you through a sun salutation, different version today, so that we can warm up the entire body and get everything firing before we start some of our deeper stretches. So starting with your hands at your sides, we're going to inhale and sink our hips back into a chair that's slightly too far away. Biceps are up by the ears, chest is open, you are in your chair pose. Exhale, folding forward, coming all the way down. Inhale, coming halfway up to a flat back. Exhale, plant your hands down, step your feet back to plank. Now, if plank is a little too challenging, please lower your knees and focus on bringing your body down slowly through chaturanga, keeping the elbows nice and tight to the body. That is a very important part of keeping your neck and shoulders safe. Inhale, coming halfway up with your chest and shoulders for cobra. Pressing up and back to downward dog. In your downward dog, inhale your left leg up into the air. Allow yourself to come forward and put the foot down close to the hands, letting your right foot turn out slightly to the side, keeping your hips squared forward. Bring your hands up overhead with straight arms so that your biceps are near the ears. This is your warrior one pose. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, coming forward, plant the hands down and shift the leg back to plank. Again, if you need to, lower the knees down. It is a slow lower down through chaturanga, keeping the elbows tight to the body. Inhale, up for cobra. Exhale, pressing up and back to downward dog. In your downward dog, inhale your right leg up into the air. Shift your weight forward and bring your foot down as close to your hands as you can. If you need to, you can pick it up and move it forward or shuffle it forward. Allow your left foot to turn out slightly to the side. Bring your torso up, arms overhead, biceps near the ears. Deep breath in. Exhale, coming forward, plant the hands down, step the foot back to plank. Lower your knees down if you need to. Exhale, coming down through chaturanga. Inhale, up for cobra. Exhale, up and back to downward dog. You can hop or walk your feet towards your hands. And inhale, coming halfway up to a flat back. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, sinking your hips down into a chair that's slightly too far away. Chest is up, arms are up high, biceps by the ears. And then press up to a standing position, bringing your hands together at your heart center. Beautiful. So hopefully you feel your body warmed up, your cardio getting going a little bit. We're going to explore our forward fold a little bit more. It is also a really great way of loosening up the neck and shoulders. And it might not feel, it of course works the legs, the glutes, the hamstrings as well. But if you can relax into it, you will feel quite a bit of release in your upper body. So we start with our feet planted on the ground. They can be slightly apart, about hip width. And we want to feel grounded and rooted through the feet. So you want all four corners of your feet to be in contact with the mat. And from there, just inhale and hinge forward as you exhale. Coming into a forward fold. Allow yourself, if you need to tent your fingers, and if you're up a little bit higher, you can use a block if it's necessary. Tent your fingers and touch the mat. You can use your legs as a brace if you need it. Just allow yourself to relax into your forward fold. Once you're in your forward fold, try taking your hands to either elbow and use the weight of your torso to help pull you forward gently. You can rock side to side or put a little bounce in the movement. Then release your hands from your elbows and act like a rag doll, just flopping forward, and relax your head, your neck, your shoulders. Put a deep bend in your knees so that your torso rests on your thighs. And you can feel your lower back releasing and relaxing. And then allow yourself to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Some people feel a little lightheaded coming out of a forward fold, so move slowly and carefully. We're going to come back down into our tabletop. So you want to plant your hands down, place your knees down. You want the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're going to explore downward dog and dolphin pose a little bit more. Curl those toes under, and I mentioned it while I was upside down, which makes it a little hard to demonstrate, but the index knuckle, so your index finger knuckle, if you press it deeply into the mat and allow a little air in the palm of the hand underneath, so it's a bit like a suction cup. Fingers are spread out wide and gripping the mat. That's a very important part of your downward dog. Curling the toes under and lifting the hips up and back. I mentioned that you want to feel your belly button pulling in toward your spine, tailbone lifting up toward the sky, heart sinking down toward the mat. Now you can place your knees down in your downward dog, then allow your forearms to rest into the mat. We're going to explore dolphin pose. There are a couple of different modifications for dolphin pose. You can keep the arms in the same alignment that you had in your downward dog, just placing your forearms down and pressing the weight into your forearms before we lift our hips up and back. Or if you prefer to try a different variation, you can clasp the hands together and then bring them down so that they're pressed into the mat in a bit of a triangular shape in front of you. Either way, once you're ready, you want to make sure your toes are curled under at the back and begin to lift your hips up and back. Similar motion to your downward dog. You can start here. This is a great way to feel the weight on your forearms. And if you would like to try making it a little more challenging and seeing if it's available to you, you can walk the toes forward, bringing the weight forward so that you are getting toward having your hips over your shoulders. It's part of an inversion practice, but this is just preparation. From here, you can lower your knees back down to the mat. If you wanted to try the other variation with your arms open, if you didn't try that the last time, same motion, press the forearms into the mat, lift the hips up and back. Lower the knees down, sink the hips back toward your heels for child's pose or resting pose. Child's pose can be with your knees together, or it can be big toes touching, knees out to the side and lowering your torso down in between. You might want to take a moment to try both and see which one feels best to you. Bring yourself up to your tabletop. And then lower down slowly onto your belly. On our belly, we're going to extend our arms so that our fingertips are pointing back toward our toes. And I'll start within a relaxed pose so that my head is down on my mat, turn to the side, cheek resting. And when I breathe in, I'm going to lift my head, my shoulders, and my arms up off the mat. So breathing in, I'm going to look forward, bring my chest up off the mat, extend my arms out behind me. And when you're in the pose, don't hold your breath, continue breathing. And lower down. We'll do the same thing, and this time we'll lift the feet off the floor as well. So breathing in, bring the shoulders off, the chest off, arms extend behind, legs are lifted up off the mat in a locust prep pose. Some people call it Superman pose. And lower down. Similar pose with multiple benefits is our bow pose. You can bend your knees so that your feet come up, and if it's available, you can reach back and hold on to your ankles. From there, you can extend and bring your chest off the ground. Start to lift your legs up into the air, bringing a nice bow into the back. And of course, continuing to breathe deeply. My daughter likes to rock back and forth in this pose. She calls it the Santa sleigh pose. Lower your legs down, release your ankles, and allow yourself to come into a resting pose. We're going to press back up onto our tabletop with our hands below the shoulders, knees below the hips. And then curl your toes under and sink your hips back towards your heels. Bring your torso up. We're going to explore a really deep back bend called camel pose. There are a lot of ways to come in and out of camel pose, but the safest one is the one that we're going to explore. If it's not available to you, you can take a few moments in your child's pose resting while we work on this one, or you can watch and find the spots that that are available in your body. So from the pose that we're in right now, we have our weight resting on our heels. I'm going to reach back and put my hand on my heels on both sides. If you're very muscular through your upper body, it may be a stretch to find this pose. If that's not available, take a break for now. If it is, just try to get here. You don't have to come into the full expression of the pose, but from here, you can begin to lift the hips up and forward. So, as I mentioned, some people struggle to get further than here. Then that's where you go for today. If it's available and you want to press those hips a little further forward, you can. And if it feels good in your body, you can relax the head and neck, letting it open up completely. To safely exit, you want to sink the hips back toward the heels. Once your hips are on your heels, then you can release your hands. So that's your camel pose. It's a beautiful pose if it feels good in your body. I did mention that there are a lot of ways to enter into it. That is the safest way for your body to enter into it. We'll maybe explore that one in further detail in another program. For now, we're going to extend our legs out in front of us in staff pose. So again, you want to rock back and forth. You can feel your sits bones engaged with the floor. When they're engaged with the floor, you'll feel your pelvis is tilted forward. It's very important for keeping the health of your spine. You want to make sure that your feet are flexed so your legs are active. And from here, we're going to place our hands behind our hips, and we're going to lift our hips up into the air in our upward plank. If it's available, again, you can open and extend the neck, letting the head drop back. And lower your hips down. Once your hips are down, come into a nice tall spine. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead. And exhale, leaning forward. Coming back up to a seated position. Now, one of the great and interesting things about the body is that you can use different parts of your body that will magically open up a completely unrelated area. Probably is related in some way. I'll explain. We're going to use our toes, and we're going to contract and flex our toes to loosen up our necks. So plant your hands behind your back, sitting in your staff pose. We're going to take our right foot and curl it so that your toes are a tight little ball. Then we're going to drag those toes back in line with the left knee and then press them into the mat and push them away as hard as you can, extending them all the way down. And curl them again and bring it in and press them into the mat and push away. You want to keep doing this a couple of times. Now, unfortunately, I forgot to direct you to check where your mobility was at before we started, but I'll do that before we change sides. Curl those toes, bring them back, press them into the mat, and push away. All right, before we switch sides, take a look back. See how far your gaze can extend. Take note of what's behind you and how far you can see. Come back up, we'll do the other side. Curl the left toes into a tight ball, bring it forward, all the way up to the right knee. Press the ball of the foot into the mat and push it away. Curl the toes, bring them in, press them into the mat and push away. We'll do it one more time. And there we go. Now reach back, see how much your neck has opened up from using the stretch through your legs and your feet. I hope this has helped. I really want to make sure that with today's technology and all of our hunched forward posture that we can take some time on our yoga mat to do something really good for our bodies. Thank you for being with us. Namaste, Thunder Bay.